Viewers and listeners, hey, hello, how are you? That's right. The Rockwell timepiece says it's time to get coached up with another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. That's right. Rockwell is a proud partner of the Coach Scott Field Show, and I'm thrilled to be a brand ambassador. Go to rockwelltime.com, and if you use the code Coach20, get 20% off of anything on that website. But those timepieces, them things are fly. Their merch, outstanding. Go check them out. Like and follow the Coach Scott Field Show on Facebook. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, my man Coach AB and I say turn that knob up. We're about to put that flavor in your ear. Watch us on DBTV and also DBTV2 Monday through Fridays. And then also check us out on CSTV and also the Rewind Sports 60. Sure appreciate your viewership and your continued support. We're having a great time bringing it to you. My guest today, thrilled to have him. He's jetting all over the place as he's an assistant coach with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coach Antoine Broxsie, how are you, my friend?
Good to you, man. We're doing real well. Just landed here in Memphis. We got a date with Ja Morant tomorrow. So
that
we're gonna see how that one goes.
There you go. Well, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with that. Coach, talk to us a little bit about your background. Kind of let the viewers know who you are. I know you as a former player because I was trying to bring you in to play for a minor league team that I played for, but you had just signed to play somewhere else. But
Right.
talk about you as
Also too in Venezuela too.
That's right. Hey, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So tell the viewers a little bit about your background, where you played your college ball, and now you've transitioned into coaching.
So I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Went to school at the University of Minnesota out of high school, and then transferred to Oklahoma State where I graduated. And then I became a pro after that. And after that, I played in CBA for a little bit with the Grand Rapids Hoops. And I just been globetrotting all around ever since then. Like I've been Venezuela, been, Colombia, Argentina, Japan, China, Cyprus, so many different countries. Like I played 16 years, 16, 17 years. And after I was done, I started getting into coaching. And now I started here actually in Memphis as a video coordinator, also work with the Memphis Hustle as assistant coach. And then went to RGV and also Shanghai Sharks. I was a player development coach for the Shanghai Sharks, and then came back, and now I am a player development assistant with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Man, what an amazing journey you've been on. You and I, we have something in common because our passports have as much ink as Wiz Khalifa. So if there's a place to go, we've been there. And but what a great journey. Who were some of the influences for you that you knew you wanted to get into coaching once you hung up the sneakers?
So here's the thing. It was crazy. Like, I went to school with JB Bickerstaff, right? Yeah. And I was 30 years old, and I go call him. Me and him having a conversation. I said, "Dude, man, you're gonna be a head coach one day. You're gonna be very, very good at what you do." And he was like, "You believe that?" I said, "Man, come on, JB. Like, you my guy. Granted, we're friends, but you're gonna be a hell of a coach." He was like, "When I get there, I got you." And he said, and lo and behold, like we talked all the time. Like he's always been, in my corner wherever I was at. He's always checked on me. So he was like, "Hey, Brox, like I think I'm gonna have a job in Memphis. So I'm coaching in China at the time." And he was like, "Look, I'm gonna bring you here. I want you to show him what you do, and then we'll go from there." So he brought me from China, and then I got on the summer league team here in Memphis, and then they hired me on the spot. But as far as like the influences, it's always been like Clem Haskins.
The Big Ten. What a great job he did for years there with Minnesota, right?
Right, Eddie Sutton. I played for Eddie for a while, and then
At Oklahoma State, yeah.
Oklahoma State, and like just taking all the people that I've played for. I've always enjoyed that, but also too the people that I didn't enjoy playing for. I learned. I was like, you know what? If I ever become a coach, I never become this, because I've always felt like coaching was an essential part of a man's development, not just a player's, a man's development, because you look up to these guys to tell you the truth all the time about the things that you're doing on and off the court. So I took that into consideration, and I was like, you know what, like, you can actually shape a man's life if you tell him the right things, and he can succeed at the things that he wants to succeed at, his dreams and realities and stuff like that. But also too, like, you have to be like sincere and honest with these players to a point where like they actually believe in something more than themselves. And like, people look at the influences that help you become better. I always look at both the influences that can change you to become worse, and what I didn't want to do. Those people influenced me to be who I am today. And also the guys that actually I took part of, took something from to be more. So I took something from both sides of the spectrum when it comes to that.
See, and I love that. And of course, being down there at that NBA Summer League, I can remember going up to coach JB myself because I knew his father, introduced myself, but just the epitome of class and humble, and a guy who has done a great job, where he has landed. And I think it's great that you had that relationship with him,
Right.
provided that opportunity. But hey, we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with. And
Yeah.
I think you're in a great situation. And I couldn't be thrilled and happier for anybody, because I know your heart's in the right place and you want to see growth and development of
Right.
these young men on and off the court. And that's why I applaud you. And that's why I'm a fan of yours.
Thank you, my man. Thank you so much.
I only wish that I could have had you come play for me, because you'd have made me a better coach.
Man, you would have been you were a hell of a coach even without me. But even still, like, I wish we had been able to make that deal done. But at the end of the day, we're here now. So
That's right. That's right. Well, I know this. Great players make great coaches out of us in a hurry. And I think
right.
you would have probably made my job a little bit
Yeah.
easier because, hey, with the way you rim run and change shots, block
Yeah.
shots, and communicate, and just the experience you had, I knew you would have been a great fit with what we were trying to build.
Right. Right. Thank you, my man. Thank you.
Oh, and I mean that. I'm not just saying that because you're here now. That's always something that's been on the back of my mind. So, hey, when I got a chance to give some flowers, I'm going to give some flowers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, talk about some of the conversations you had when you were a player, and something that a coach said to you that has continued to stick with you.
So one of the first conversations that it wasn't with a coach. Well, it was with a coach. It was Rod Baker. You know who Rod Baker?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the Razor
Rod
Sharks,
Baker.
and was with the
Right.
Sixers, and great guy, great,
So,
great basketball mind.
so he was my first coach as a pro.
Okay.
At in what's it called? So Gerald Honeycutt, Gerald Honeycutt. So I
Yeah.
played on with Gerald Honeycutt, Eric Murdoch, Olden Polynice. All of these, all of
Woo!
these guys were on my CBA team.
Yeah.
I remember we were playing in the game, and I was just dunking the ball like crazy. And he looked at me and he said, "Man, when Broxie figures it out, y'all gonna have a problem." So I didn't understand what he was saying. I'm like, I'm just playing basketball, just young and real. At that age, you're just young and dumb. You really don't know anything. All you know is just do what you do best and just have fun. And Gerald Honeycutt was like, "Man, I'm gonna sit down tonight and I'm gonna let you play." And I'm like, why are you doing that? He said, "They need to see what you got, what you can do, and I'm finna show you how to be a pro."
Ooh.
So Gerald Honeycutt, Kevin Simmons, all these guys would always teach me how to be a pro. And I realized then it was bigger than basketball. Still to this day, like, we have an amazing relationship. Me and Honeycutt, which is crazy. I work with Antonio Lane, me and Antonio Lane, you know, people like that, Alex Scales and
Wow.
Larry Ayuso, they were on my team, you know. So, you know, like those were the things that stood out to me the most, was them actually bring me to the side and actually teaching me how to be a pro.
Wow.
Teach me how to work, teach me how to prepare your body and do all these things.
And see, I love that. And as soon as you said Larry Ayuso, of course, you mentioned some great names. I think Puerto Rico, and I remember seeing that X come up as soon as that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
he was actually my roommate on the road.
okay.
He was
Okay.
like, "Man, Ross, I thought you was a square." Like, nah. I like to have fun too, Larry, because I I wasn't the guy that I wasn't the guy that went out and did crazy things, but I was, you know, I I never judged a person on what they did. I've always been supportive of all my teammates, no matter what. But I've never judged, and he loved that about me. And to this day, like, we still talk. It's crazy.
And see, I love what you're talking about, because you're talking about relationships. And I truly believe that in our fraternity as
Mhm.
coaches in basketball, we get to come across and meet some unbelievable people. Who were some other great people who kind of mentored you and kind of helped you navigate your path? Because there are a lot of opportunities, and that, they always say that 6 degrees of separation. But who
Right.
were some other people that got a hold of you and was like, hey, young man, if you do this, this and this will happen?
So, uh, Chris Terrell was one of them. I don't know if you know
Oh
who.
yeah.
Terrell was one of the guys. Of course, like, my college coaches were really, really good at what they did. But, like, I remember, you know who Jim Farmer is? You
Of
ever heard?
course. Yeah.
They played for the Lakers for a little bit. I
Yeah.
played for a little bit. Like, what was crazy was I had the foresight, even at that time, to continue to talk with the guys, even to this day, like, stay in contact with all my ex-coaches, and have, even if I just call them to say what's up, just to laugh and joke with them, like, I've always had the foresight to do all of that. Um, it mostly, like, I've always been the person to keep a relationship even till 20 years, and I've always was that person. Like, um, and I always tell people, like, when you're working, like, when you're working in this industry, you have to make sure you hone your relationships, because, again, like, basketball changes, and everybody knows that you don't want to become a dinosaur in this game. You want to become, you know, fluid throughout this league, because,
Yes.
like, when you first started, they had post up guys. Now they don't have post up. Like, we don't teach post up anymore. We teach rim runs and lob threats and getting behind getting the roller, getting behind the defense and catching lobs, and rim protection, and being able to guard in space for a big man. Those days of you passing the ball down low and you going to work are days of the past.
Yeah, it's space and pace, and again, with that space, with face up
Right.
fours, and now it's 5 out, no, depending
Right.
on your personnel. I love how you're talking about that, because the game continues to evolve, and when you can evolve and stay relevant and bring an asset to a franchise like you're doing, hey, there is no ceiling for Coach Broxsie.
So, and that's the thing. Like, I always tell people, like, you have to, don't don't always just think about what you have going on. You always have to always think about what other people have going on, and put yourself always in a listening mode, listening and retaining. And I've always been that guy to listen and retain things, in terms of just being relevant. Because, again, like I remember when I first came in, like, I used to practice post moves all the damn time, and now I don't practice. I don't even teach Jared Allen how to do post moves. I teach him how to short roll and finish around the basket. and which, we look at it as elementary in those days because, we used to work on mic and drill every day, finishing the basket.
That's old school there.
That's what we used to do, because as elementary as that sounds, now finishing at the basket is an underrated skill set that people don't know how to do because they don't work on it. But back to the original question, like I've always was the guy that made sure I stayed in home relationships throughout my years so I can stay relevant and be able to understand what was going on in real time. And that's what
And think about that. And because of that skill set and because of you continuing to stay in touch, I mean, look at us today. Here we are on the Coach Scott Field Show, sharing wisdom, expertise, acumen, and knowledge for the viewers and listeners today. And I think that's put into practice because, like I'm saying, we had a chance a couple of times to work together as player and coach, and here we are now sharing knowledge. So I love that, and I think it's a great nugget for viewers out there to retain. But I also like to how you say that, you retain that knowledge and you're always listening, because I think the more that you listen, the more that you learn.
Right. And that's again, like basketball players, we are really, basketball coaches, basketball players, we are really, really self-absorbed. And every basketball player think they're the best player since Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell. Every last one of them think we can beat each other, right? So if you're able to step back from yourself and realize that, like, well, maybe I do need to listen, and maybe I do need to retain, maybe I do need to figure out how to become better every day. You'll be surprised how many great players can actually become, good players can become great. And I always figured that was an underappreciated skill set of a lot of players, because a lot of players, like I said, they don't listen. We don't listen because it's hard for us to listen, because we don't see the forest from the trees a lot of the times, because again, like I said, we think we're the best thing since sliced bread. Even coaches are like this, and then, like I told you before, like some of the bad coaches, that not every coach is the best coach in the world, but every coach thinks they're the best coach in the world, right? Because
well, I agree, because I think there's some ego that goes with that, because they're trying to sell and get you to buy into something, and you can't get someone to buy in if you come in there soft and weak. So that competitive spirit, that ego that coaches and players have, we have to have that to get to where we were. But yet, yes, think long term. And I think a mistake a lot of coaches and players make, it's always me, when it needs to be we, and have that light at the end of the tunnel that there is a bigger picture out there.
And sometimes it's okay to listen to other things, other viewpoints, and I've always been that guy to listen to other viewpoints, and maybe that viewpoint is better than my viewpoint. And we have to be men to admit that part, right?
There you go. There you go.
And admit it and apply it. And that's my thing. Like, if I do see an opportunity to apply something that's better to help my players become better, why not? Because again,
hey, we coaches, we got to be pirates, because we don't have all the knowledge, but when we can steal something that fits our personality, that fits our style, that fits our way of teaching, and we're able to, extend that olive branch to a young player to help them develop and evolve, we must do that, because we have to evolve daily in this business, or like you say, you're done.
Right. And it also comes down to, like, understanding what you are as a coach, like, right? And what you are as a player is both. Like, as a coach, the player is always going to come first. So you have to realize you have to sacrifice yourself to help them become more. Because again, like, if you have a player that's able to develop because of the fact that you decided that, I'm not the prize, it's the player that's the prize, that helps.
Yeah, that's the asset. You bet.
That helps me win. And you have to understand, like, a lot of coaches tend to lose sight of that along the way, and I've always since I became a coach, I've always realized like the players are first. Always remember that, no matter what you like. I was a player and I always felt like I was the first, right? And now I have to take the back seat when I was always felt the first, you know. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's,
And
it's
that's that transition from a
it's
player's mentality to a coach's mentality.
right, right, exactly. So you have to be able to make sure that the players understand that they are the priority because of the priority. They're when they become priority of learning and becoming again more and becoming better versions of themselves, the team becomes a better version of itself, and now the organization thrives. You
Yeah,
know,
right. That's right. See, I'm a true believer. It's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. And I know that's cliche, but you have to put that player first. You have to build that player up. Because think about it. You as a player for 16 years, we're sensitive. We do have egos, and certain things may not go your way. Well, right away, that body language, you go into the tank mentally. You got to get that player back on the right track. So finding out how to hit that button to help that player find his way and help him navigate to build that confidence back up, so that way he believes in himself and what he's doing to be to help that team thrive, because the more success the team has, that market value is going to go up.
and again, like to add on to what you just said, like you have to be able to build trust. Like, and he has, like, I've always been the believer, like you don't gain trust by talking to a person. You gain trust by them watching you when you think they're not watching.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I've always been a consistent person every day. I'll never change the man that I am, that I'm gonna become. And every day I'm gonna come and be the same man every day and show you that this is who you're gonna get no matter what. If you lose, I'm gonna be the same man. Now I might not be happy, but I'm gonna be the same man. If you win, I'm gonna still be the same man, and I'm gonna continue to help you become better every day. Like, I'm not gonna come in and be mad, and like we're in an amazing business, right? This is a beautiful business, and I always feel like this is the best job in the world, because how many times you get an opportunity to be surrounded by basketballs, these books of different coaches and different things, and be able to talk something that you love, in a game that continues to evolve from generation to generation to generation. We can go back and talk about anybody, like anybody's game. We can talk about Will Chamberlain's 50 and 25. We can go to talk about Julius Erving. We can talk generation to generation about and have a smile on our face and leave happy about these players that made this game so beautiful to play, watch, and teach in.
Yep.
I'm very, very appreciative about this game.
Yeah, and here's the thing, it's sports entertainment. And when we're able to put a product on the floor that's entertaining and it's successful, man, it's bigger than us, but boy, is it something to be in that locker room and have a mission and a goal, and you're all striving, you're all on the same agenda to meet that goal. There's no better gratification to know that you were a part of that process to get them to that level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
watch a person, like I tell Jared Allen today, every day or every week at least, I tell him, man, I'm trying to get you. You think that 100 million is something, like, let me help you get 200 million. You know,
Woo. Woo. Yeah.
and he looks at me. You think I can get that? I said, you got there right. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're gonna work your ass off to get this 100 million, let's work our ass off to get 200 million. If it's out there to get, let's try to get it.
Yeah. See, and I love that, because
I light up when he's locked in all the time. And he's not money driven, like a lot of players aren't money, but to see the light, that you talk about at the end of the tunnel, to be able to have that type of generational wealth because of a talent you honed, why not?
yeah.
Why not help these guys get to it?
I love that. And, and to kind of circle back to some of the things you were saying a few minutes ago, what I hear from Coach Broxsie is, you're going to quietly lead by example. It's not always about what you're going to say, but they see you out on the floor putting in the work, helping them put in the work. And when they see that, they want to elevate to be out there with you with that energy. And yet you have core values that you're going to bring daily through the ups and downs because, hey, the NBA season for the fans out there, it's a marathon. It is not a sprint. And there's going to be ups and downs. But if you consistently come with enthusiasm, come with energy, come with passion, come with purpose, those players will see that, gravitate towards that. Then your core values and principles that your coaching philosophy has will help build that foundation for them so that they can grow and evolve and develop. And it's all about teaching and it's all about development at that super high level.
And just think about this though. We're at 40 some odd games. We're just halfway in the season. We still got a long way to go. It's
right.
Season in June.
Yeah.
That's in January.
Yeah.
So
and
you have to maintain that energy every day. And it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, that's right. We're human. We have emotions. We have feelings. We have ups and downs. But when we're asked to be in that leadership role, we got to bring it every day, flip that switch, and come with that energy. Because again, those guys are feeling the effects. They're having bumps and bruises. But it's like, you know what? Coach Broxsie's out there on the court. It's time to get it in. Hey, let's go get it in. Hey, we can work hard. We can play hard. But now it's time to focus and get that work in.
Exactly.
Oh man, love that. Well, Coach, talk about some of the key things that you try to teach your players on a daily basis. Whether it's fine tuning the footwork, maybe it's getting the repetition to have the motor skills to have just the follow through, and because again, there's going to be ups and downs and go through slumps. But what is it that you're trying to instill with a player who's going through a little bit of a slump, but yet they've had some highs and they can taste it? They had the appetizer, but you're trying to bring that on, Trey.
So one of the things, first off, I try to study our plays, right? Well, I study the plays, but I try to make sure they understand within that play, their options within that play.
Yeah.
That they are able to do. Like, and I believe player development has to understand what your options are within the plays that we run on a high frequency, like being able to catch the ball at the free throw line, and let's see how many different angles we have to score from this part, and then who's open, who's not going to be open, what options am I going to have after I dribble the ball. So I try to make sure I touch on all of that when I'm talking to Jared, when I'm talking to Evan Mobley, when I'm talking to Rolo, and so on and so forth. Like, these are the guys that, hey, you're not going to get this shot. We're not going to work on that shot. Yeah. We're not going to work on this move. We're going to work on this. And you're going to be very, very efficient at what you take PJ Tucker, right? Ooh. PJ Tucker, and this is something like young guys need to understand when they're trying to make the NBA. Like, you don't have to be the James Harden. But if you're playing with James Harden, for a fact that he's going to hold the ball for 8 seconds and try to figure out how to get his shot off. And if he doesn't get his shot, chances are that corner is going to be open.
That's right. Be locked and ready, catch and shoot. Yeah.
So PJ Tucker figured this out. It was like, shoot, all I have to do is make this corner three at a 40% rate, because James Harden, breaks down his defender. My defender pulls over, and all I have to do is be ready. I try to make sure they understand that if you do what you do great at a high level, we're going to win games, and your margin of error will be very, very small.
Yeah.
Because in the NBA, like, you have to have a very, very small margin of error, especially as you start to get to the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Because the playoffs is where the real season begins. Season began, but now we're in the playoffs. Now what happens? Now everybody knows your tendencies. Now But now if I do my tendencies, if I do what I do great just a little bit better, maybe that might turn the tide for a 3-3 series. Now I may win 4-3 because one game I decided that I was going to make all my layups at a high rate because they left the pocket open.
Yeah.
So now we're up 4. Now we won a series 4-3. Now we get the advance because I just did my job just a little bit better than the next man. And I've always believed like especially at this level, like simplicity is always the best.
Ooh, you know? Hey, preach. That's right. Preach.
Simplicity is always the best thing and the best avenue to success. You know, especially if you do something well, like, you know, Evan, like we don't have to complicate the game for him because he understands the game. We give him the ball in pockets and we give him the options to work from them pockets. Yeah. So now everybody thrives because they're like, oh shoot, if Evan has the ball, I have a chance to actually get some points. So if I cut, I know 9 times out of 10, he's going to make the right play all the time.
Yeah. Got that spatial awareness, got that vision, very unselfish. That's right.
Now, do we expand his game? Yes. I mean, as the seasons go on, like he's going to probably get into, you know, handling the ball more out in open space and stuff like that, being able to create offense for the whole team. But that's just part of his maturation, right? But like, I think when we're talking about players and we're doing this stuff, like you have to be able to understand where they're going to get most of their points at within the offense that you run. Right. And continue to do the right thing, make the right play over and over again, and don't get bored with success. You know, a lot of people get bored with success because they'll say, "Oh shoot, we're up 10 points. Let's go do something else." No. The San Antonio Spurs was never bored with success. They would always make the right play every time. And if you did this and they did that, if they're up 10, chances are they're going to go up 20 because they're not gonna fool around with the ball. And that's something that I try to make sure that our players understand. Don't get bored with success.
And see, I love that because there truly is, with that repetition and that speed, that there is a monotony of efficiency. And then they try to create and do too much, and then one error turns into 2 errors, and then next thing you know, there's a momentum swift. So I love that you're preaching on that. And I see a lot of players too, if they have a solid move that they bring as an asset to help the team, if they have a solid move and they have counters, 1 or 2 counters, that's all they need if they can do it at a proficient level because of that team efficiency that we're trying to attain, because we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have errors. And that's where the game, you know, yes, it's physical and there's great athletes and they do things that make things look so easy, but it's 96% mental, 4% physical. Just have that physical, you know, aspect ready. And again, don't be bored with the monotony of the efficiency. And I love that you preached on that just now. So I wanted to reiterate that. So Coach, just great stuff right there, brother.
Here's what's funny, right? We sitting up here talking. Bruce Bowen didn't get bored with success, right? Everybody knows Bruce Bowen's hit corner threes and he played defense.
That
was success. He didn't get bored with it. He didn't say, let me put the ball between my legs and go create offense for Tony Parker. No. You work on this corner 3. Because people don't remember, people forget that Bruce couldn't shoot the ball at one point in his career.
That's right.
But he never got bored with success because, again, like he became proficient at what he did. I mean, what the Spurs needed him to do at the time. So he decided that I was going to lock in at this level, and I'm going to continue to do this for years in and years out. And he played a long time.
Yes, he did. And I like, because you're talking about, hey, stay in your lane, do what you do better than anybody else to be that asset for this team. And that's exactly what they do. If they stay in their lane and focus on their role and their responsibility, once there's role identity, from the coach,
Right.
hey, you can show us that you could do more as we go, but this is what we need from you, and this is what we need from you consistently.
And then some people would say, "Oh well, those are role players." So here's another funny story, right? We talk about Clyde Drexler, right? And
Ooh.
people don't understand. He went right 99% of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
And you couldn't stop it.
because it was so explosive.
It was so
Ooh.
explosive and it was so proficient.
Ooh.
And people don't realize, like, Clyde, you would send him left, he would back up out, and he would take the ball all the way and still score. And
Yeah.
you couldn't stop it. Same thing with Stackhouse. Like I coached here with Stackhouse, and we used to always laugh like we when I played, I always say, "Oh, you finna go hard right like Stackhouse." So he started laughing. He was like, "Well, you can't stop it." He had two moves: hard right, pull up, and it hard right put you on the back and fade away. And you couldn't. And he scored 30 points a game with two moves.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. An asset and a counter move. And if you can perfect an asset and a counter move, your productivity and your efficiency that you're bringing to the team, now that head coach knows where your spots are. Let's create an offense to get you
Right.
comfortable in your spot, and we're all going to succeed. Yeah, it's such a simple game, but people complicate it by trying to do too much.
Simplicity is always the best avenue to success.
Amen. Amen, brother. Coach, I love this. Uh, what are some things that you see? Because again, you've been in the game a while now. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see young players making? Not even talking about NBA players, but college players and a lot of and of course, it's a whole new show we could do on AAU basketball because there's just not enough teaching on player development going on. But what are things that you see that you want players to know? Like, what would Antoine, Coach Broxsie, say to a 23-year-old Broxsie?
23-year-old Roxy, a 23-year-old like player that's coming into the league now.
A 23-year-old player coming into the league.
So one of the things that I always preach is like and this is something that I did not learn until later, was habits. Like, and we go back to what we're saying, doing the same thing. If I had honed my habits and like make sure those habits were the same every freaking day and learning how to be habit oriented, I think like a lot of players would have a great avenue of success, because again, like there's good habits and bad habits, right? But
Amen.
you hone your good habits in terms of being in the gym every day, working on your body every day, being again, back to what being a professional, being a good person. These are habits that you can hang your hat on a day-to-day basis. Because again, like we talk about basketball, but basketball is, when it all breaks down, it's about consistency, right? A coach always want to know exactly what he's going to get every night from a player. He don't want 30 points one night and 2 points the next night. He wants, if you're going to be a 10 and 10 guy, be a 10 and 10 guy every night. This was why Udonis Haslam became so great, because UD would be that consistent person on a night-to-night basis, and they knew exactly what they got from Udonis. And then again, they became consistent with him, and now he's still there at age 43. This is a guy that I played high school basketball against. I always tell people, like, you got to be habit oriented. You have to be able to understand because it carries over on the court and off the court. Like, even in a marriage, a woman needs to know the same man that she's going to get on a day-to-day basis. I teach these kids that coaches want to know this too. Organizations want to know this. They don't want to know that, well, dang, we don't know what's going to happen after the game. Is he going to go out and and be in the club all damn night, or is he going to do the right things? Not saying you can't go out and have fun,
Yeah.
but is that a habit that you're going to be doing this on a night-to-night basis, getting drunk and not coming to practice on time? Like coming on time is a habit. Getting
Yep.
up early and preparing for the day is a habit.
That's
And
right.
I always tell people, like, you have to make sure your habits are tight, because at the end of the day, you want people to sit there and say he's about the right thing. Because if you have a bad day or whatever, they're gonna go back to the things that you exhibited in the past and said, well, his history says this, he's fine.
Yep. Yep. I love that. I love that. And let me just share with you, because when I was blessed to be with the Golden State Warriors with Coach Keith Smart, when it was
Mhm.
Steph Curry's rookie year, those habits, those pregame ball handling drills that you see
Right,
Steph Curry doing, the hours of repetition of getting that shot off in a quick release, he's helped transform the game
right,
because of those habits. So I just wanted to reiterate that with what I was able to observe from my perspective, because again, we as coaches, we can learn from others who are having tremendous success. Just like you always hear people talk about, Kobe Bryant's, Mamba mentality. Yeah, what was he going to bring, and what can we count on? And I
right,
love that you put that personal twist on it. Just like being in a relationship, what can I expect from my significant other on a day-to-day
right.
basis? Because we do need that consistency. Just like, hey, as you said, if a player has a bad game, well, we know, hey, you know what? It's just a bad game. It happens to everybody. But I
Right.
know, the next time we go out, you're still going to get us, that 15 and 10 that we can count on, because that's who you are.
His habits will overtake that bad game 10 out of 10 times.
There you go. There
But
you
when
go.
you're not habit oriented, like it's going to fluctuate, and
That's
you're
right.
not going to know the player that you're going to get, and then next thing you know, like, you're out of the league because of the fact that your habits wasn't tight. Your game, like, you want to even like the guys that are down the bench, your habits have to be tight.
Yep.
So we know when your number is called, like, you
What
may.
we're what you're going to produce. That's right.
And here, perfect example, right? I always use him. I coach Javon Carter here in
Oh,
Memphis,
yeah.
and Javon is doing great in what's going. But one thing about Javon, his habits were second to none, because again, like, Javon wasn't the best shooter, he wasn't the best passer, but every day he made playing hard a habit.
And isn't that crazy? That's a skill set now.
As
That's a
simple,
skill set.
as simple as that sounds, you would think that every player would play hard, right? Growing up, this is something that was ingrained in a lot of us, but it's not. You Because it's ingrained in you doesn't mean it's ingrained in everybody. But
Amen.
because it's ingrained in him that he made playing hard and working hard a habit, he's able to stay in the league still, and he found a place in Milwaukee that loves him to death. And chances are he's gonna be fine there. He's gonna be fine because he played well while Drew Holiday was out. He's gonna be they won while he was in there, and he exhibited his habits on a day-to-day basis. So now Bud is able to trust in him, that he
Yeah.
knows that his habits will overtake all of his deficiencies on the court.
Yeah. See, I love that. And because of those work habits that are healthy work habits, he now has a high motor and energy that a coach can count on when it
Right.
comes into a playoff run. When, maybe someone's got an injury or someone's got a few fouls. Hey, I know what Javon's going to bring. And that may be just a little bit to get us over the hump and edge. And it's a slight adjustment, but yet I know he's going to bring that energy.
Right, exactly. And that's
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff, coach. How about, and again, there's so many things we can talk about. How about, talking about healthy habits? What are some of the healthy habits that you've learned on how to help these players take care of themselves with all the travel, with all, with their diet and nutrition, how to, get into the ice bath? What are some of the things you've picked up from some of the players that have had longevity, so that way they can continue to be paid and have a high market value because of good, healthy habits?
perfect example. Donovan Mitchell.
Woo!
Your guy.
He was, yeah, here from Salt Lake. That's right.
Your guy. So we get him, and he has his guy. But every day I'm in there lifting weights. Donovan Mitchell comes in every day at 8:30. Keep in mind, he doesn't have to be on the court till 12. He's like, okay, well, I need to get my body right. I got to make sure it's tight. I got to make sure my shot is tight. I got to make sure I'm eating right. Make sure I got this certain meal. He invests his money into his diet, his body, everything that he needs. Because he even knows himself. That's what, like, he's self-aware because he knows he has. He call it the fat boy gene. he loves candy. He loves all this stuff. So he's like, okay, I got to work extra hard to make sure I'm able to do all of this. So one thing about Donovan, he comes in on a day-to-day basis, and he makes sure his body is tight, make sure his mental is tight, his shot is tight. He does all of that, and like, you just watch him. I mean, 70 freaking points. Come on.
Yeah. And again, you're talking about that daily routine, but
Right.
part of that daily routine, other than nutrition, what he's putting into his body and what time he's putting it into his body, taking care, of the physicality, because he knows he's going to get into the paint, he's going to get bumped, and you got that longevity of getting into a deep playoff run. You got to be able to produce into May and June. But I also like the fact that you're talking about it's that daily routine that sets player A from player B apart, and how player A can gain an advantage because he has that routine, he has the self-awareness, he knows what his body's telling him. But also talk to Coach, how important is rest and recovery because of these, back-to-back nights, and then, jumping on a flight at, 1 in the morning, arriving into a city at 4:30 in the morning, and then have to get to the hotel. And then, so talk about that, speak on that for those who don't get it.
So one thing about Donovan, like, he makes sure he gets his sleep at night. He doesn't play. When he gets off the plane, he goes home, goes to bed, comes in, and then goes and takes a nap afterwards, and make sure that he's working like clockwork to make sure his rest is there. But he's also, like I said, they call it active resting, where he's still working on his body, but he's not doing something so crazy to overwork his body. And he's able to understand, like, the pounding and everything, and make sure that his body is at optimal level every freaking time. If it's not at optimal level, like, he will tell you, no, we can't do it because I didn't do the right things right now. So
I like that. And that's transparency. That's honesty.
Right.
And that's good communication between player and coach, because of that trust has been established because of the routine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Coach, that's good stuff. We've got like 4 or 5 minutes here, and I love the things that we're talking on. Love the examples and love the stories that you're sharing with us. What would you tell an aspiring player development coach out there who's trying to climb the ranks to get into the college level or trying to get into the pro level? What would you tell that coach that he needs to do so that way people know his aspirations and know that he can bring something to a franchise to help, a star player in his role?
So I always believe, like, people think it's about talent when it comes to coaching. It's not about talent. It's about trust. Like players, your head coach has to be able to trust you. Like, you can't. He has to be able to trust that you're telling your players the right things, and it's carrying down. Like, your whole thing when you're dealing with when a player development coach is trying to become assistant and all, like, he has to have the coach's trust. Like, and again, like, how do you gain that trust? Well, the coach has to see you.
Yeah.
Like, like, if you're there every time, you're doing the right things all the time, and then, it's like anything, like, your reputation has to precede you. And then coaching, like I said, coaching can be attained as you continue to move up. But again, like, you've been a head coach. You probably had bad assistants where you did not trust him.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether it could be a character flaw, or it could be a loyalty flaw,
right.
or it could have been the habits that I observed that I wanted them to be more positive and be less negative on a player because I didn't want the player to go into the tank. Right. Exactly right.
So and my thing is like, when you're talking, when these guys are trying to, like, they're selling themselves, and they should be selling their trust to these head coaches, because these head coaches want to know who they can trust, because head coaches are real fickle. They don't want a lot of people around them. They want help, but again, they want the right people around them all the time. Because again, like their name is on the line. They're leading men. It's just like if Patton's going to war, right? You think Patton wants somebody that he can't trust?
That's right.
If he's going into war with Nazi Germany, no, he's not. Like Patton wants somebody that he can trust, that's able to have the ear of the soldiers, that are able to hand down a plan that that he set down. And
that's right. Yeah, can't have a different agenda. Let's be on the same page. Let's work towards this mission and goal together.
Right. And then this is why Pop is so great, because he's able to hire the Budenholzers, to hire the Taylor Jenkins, and the people like that learned from him, but at the same time took their time, and he hired them, and he saw their value. He knew that they were about the team first, and that was it.
Yeah. And you mentioned in those names, I also think too of like a Joe Prunty, who's now, with Nate McMillan there with Atlanta, who's done a great job, who is just high character, very loyal, hardworking, always puts the players in the team first. And I think that's valuable, that a lot of people miss, because again, that ego gets in the way, and then it's more about them instead of the team, and that's never going to work.
No coach wants you to tell him about it. No coach wants to sit there and you have to tell the coach all about yourself. Sure. Think about that. If I'm telling the coach all about myself, chances are I'm not. I got myself on a pedestal. So how am I going to ever trust that?
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's right. That's exactly right. I've always, had the philosophy. A lot of people want to talk me to death. Show me. Show me, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you can show me consistently with hard work, energy, passion, and purpose, you my guy. You're in my circle of trust. But if you got to sell me hard, obviously there's some insecurities there that something's going on. I'm gonna dig a little deeper.
They want to hear about what can you do to make this team better.
That's right. That's right.
You want to see what you can do to make this team better. And that's like, back to JB, like, I didn't talk about myself. He said, come in, work hard, let them see you, and we'll go from there.
Oh,
I got here, shut my mouth, listen, didn't say a word. I didn't say a word all summer league. All I did was smile every day and listen. Because at that point, like, I don't know, you don't know shit. Like, you've never been I've never been in the NBA as a coach, so I don't know what's going on. I can't share my opinion on something that I had no plan, that I had no say in the plan to get there. So what do? I shut my mouth, do what's asked of me, and continue to work and learn and write down notes and become more and more every day.
Yeah, you were a student of the game. You didn't have that ego, and you didn't have that proverbial chip on your shoulder. And look where you're at now, man. Coach, I am proud of you. I wish we had more time. This has been enlightening. Your acumen, your IQ, your knowledge, and your experience. Man, great stuff today. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing for the viewers and the listeners. This has been top-notch content right here, brother.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, listen, good luck to you here in the coming days and the upcoming games. I hate that I missed you when you came through Salt Lake, but the next time you come through, my man, let's go break some bread and have a fun conversation.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Coach Scott Field Show. This is my man, Coach Antoine Broxsie, doing big things with a high ceiling and a super bright future. Whenever you can be around people like this, you've gotten better, and that's what I encourage you to do. Stay tuned for another episode of the Coach Scott Field Show. Coach AB, be blessed. Can't wait to see you soon, brother. Much love.
Love you too, my man.